Hello folks, in this video we're going to take a look at our breakout game once again and finish up some of the things we've been working on. So we see there that the ball is able to hit the bricks, it's able to go below the Y value, basically the bottom of the bottom bounds of the screen. We see the paddle is stopped, so this is all good news. All right. The last time we added some collisions, or in the last video, so let's take a look at how we can sort of debug some of the problems that you might encounter with it, right? So everything should be working just fine, but in case they are not, we can go back to our const config at the top of the file, and inside there we have a physics property, and inside there we have a number of other properties, including arcade. So inside arcade, we have gravity, and if we add a debug true, what that's going to do, one of the things it's going to do, if we run it now, is it's going to add in a bunch of squares around everything that has collision on it. So one of the things we can check to see if everything's working fine is to run the game and see the collision boxes around it. So you actually see that there's actually a slight delay with the ball and the box around it. So I don't know if that's actually just a delay in the displaying to the screen or if that's actually in the game itself. It might actually be in the game itself. But yeah, you can actually clearly see that the image PNG is different than the collision box, right? They don't come attached by default. You'll see the paddle is collision. We see that green line appearing. That's because I'm hitting the key there and it's showing where the velocity is headed. So we see there I hit the space bar and the velocity to the ball is heading in a certain direction. So you can check velocity that way too to see what actions are being applied to it, right? So you check to see if something is moving or not moving. Does it actually have velocity applied to it, right? So we see everything's working here, and then we can see that it goes down. So we're not going to leave this on. I just wanted to show you in case you are having trouble with your collisions, you can actually run the debug mode inside of your const config to see if it runs. So I'm not going to use this, so I'm just going to comment that out real quick. But I'll make a comment here to detect collisions. Okay. All right. So that's not the bulk of what we're doing here today, or in this video. What we're doing in this video is actually going through and finalizing with some polish this game. So what we have to take care of left essentially is the win and lose condition and displaying that to the user, right? So how does the user know what to do? We can add some text to screen. We can also say if they lose, you lose, and if they win, we could say you win. Okay. So I'm going to go all the way down the bottom here below where we set up player collision function last time. And I'm going to say add lose condition. Or actually, it will be a, excuse me, we'll do check lose, because that's essentially what we're doing. Okay. And so let's call this function has lost. Okay. And how do they lose? Well, in basically every breakout game, the player loses if the ball goes below or touches the bottom or goes below the Y boundary of the bottom there. So we can do that. We can check to see if that player has gone too low. And we can do that by accessing the ball Y and the world bounds. Okay. So we can do if ball.body, move this up a little bit, body.y is greater than, right? Because we start at 0 at the top and work our way down. So by the time it gets to the bottom, okay, it's getting higher and higher in terms of its pixel value, right? Its Y coordinate value. And so ball body.y is greater than world.bounds.height. Okay, we can do return true. And true is a JavaScript keyword. It's not like a string. We don't need to put strings around it because it's not a string. It's a true condition. It's a Boolean condition built into JavaScript. So we could do because it's a Boolean, we can actually do a check if this is true, if true. One other thing to point out here is that our function here, we're going to call every frame. So we write it down here because it's a custom function, but we're going to call it every frame. So it's going to go in the update function. We do this because we want to check every frame if the ball Y is greater than the world bounds Y height. Okay. Now, one last thing here. Remember that functions are one-way mirrors. Our ball is a global variable we set up at the top, meaning everything in the program can see ball, even when we redefine it. World bounds height is not a global function, but it is available, world is, inside of the update function. So we have to pass in world to our hasLost function so the phaser knows that hasLost basically should access world, okay? World is a global variable inside of the update function. Okay, so that handles that. Next up, let's do a check one. Whoop, check one. There we go. Function has one. Okay, and what's the logic for this one? Well, this one's going to be slightly different, right? So, basically, if how does a player win Breakout? Player wins if there are no more bricks. Okay, so how do we find out how many bricks there are? Okay, well, remember at the top in the function create, we created brick groups, okay? And the brick groups have a count of how many bricks are inside a brick group, okay? Now, Phaser is going to do something for us that's pretty handy, okay? Every sprite in Phaser has an active property on this. And we've already used this and accessed this down in the destroy brick function. We did brick disable body. True, true. So we disabled that sprite. We disabled that that image, that brick, okay, when we run into it. So we basically disable it. We don't set it active, okay? Now, what we want to do is basically count the number of things that have been made not active. Or reverse, count the number of things that are active. Now, what's pretty neat is that the brick groups that we have set up, or the sprite groups, okay, have a property that counts that. Okay, they can count the number of active sprites contained within their own sprite group. Okay, they set it up when we made our bricks go across, they counted 9, right? So it knows that there's 9 there. Now, every time we hit one, we disable it. So what we can do is we can set up a const here, const total, that is going to add up all the different bricks. So we'll start with blue bricks, and we can use the count active that is a part of the Phaser functions for sprite groups. We can count active of blue bricks. We count the yellow bricks dot count active, and we're going to do red bricks dot count active. Okay, so we get a total count of current active bricks inside the game. Okay, I'll make a comment here. Get total amount of active bricks. Okay. So that's the first step. The next step is to do something with it. So all this is going to do, these two functions, the check lost and has one, or has lost has one, all they're doing is checking. They're just saying yes or no. They're not going to take any action because of it. We're going to keep all that contained to one point. Now, I suppose we could put some code here that's going to deal with that, but we're going to keep our functions nice and simple and straightforward. And these are just these are just true false functions. That's all they're going to do for us. So this one just counts up how many things are there. And we need to say player has 1 if total equals 0. All right, so if the total equals 0, player is 1. So let's set up an if statement that does that. If total 3 equals sign 0, if total equals 0, return true. And that's it, okay? Let's see, anything else here? We set up all those. We add the number of active sprites within them. We check to see if it's equal to 0. Okay, so basically we've set up our true false conditions for this, right? If it's false, if the if the ball y is not below the bounds, and if the person has not destroyed all bricks, those two statements will not return anything. So up in our function update, because we need to have this happen every frame, right? Every frame update, every time the game updates, and the game updates every frame, right? Its position, whether the bricks are visible or not, all that's happening very, very quickly. And we want to check to see if any of those changes are calculated. If the calculations result in one of these conditions being true, we need to know, because we need to end the game or say something back to the player or start the game or whatever. So let's go back up to the top of our function update. And where's my function update? Here it is. Function update. And I'm going to hit enter a couple times to give myself some space here. And what I'm going to do in my function update is I'm going to basically set out the logic for how the game is going to play. All right. And we're going to set up an if else statement here. Okay. If they have not won and they have not lost, we're going to run the rest of this code here. But first off, let's do if has, let's see, if has, let's say it has lost. Okay, we'll call that function. If has lost equals true. Okay, we don't need to put in quotes because it's not quotes, right? Okay. So, and yeah, so once we have this defined, has lost as a function. Now, if we go down here and remember that has lost, we passed in the world object. So now we got to pass it in here as an argument. And we say this physics world. Okay, this is available. Inside of this, we used it, let's see, we used it before, right? Let's see, this physics world. Maybe not here. We do up here. This physics world. Oh, maybe we did. Oh no, we did up here. We did this physics dot add dot group. That's right. And then I don't know if we used this physics world yet. No, I guess we didn't. Okay. Well, in that case, yes. So this physics add. So we see this physics add. So here we're going to go this physics world, and we check add physics add collider. We added, oh, this physics world. There we go. Okay, I think we used it. This physics world, we did a check collision down. We did this in the function create. So now we're in the function update, which because update is a phaser function, it can access this physics world inside here. So it knows what that is. Okay, so we set that to be true. If it's true, okay, what do we want to do? Well, right now, let's add a comment that just says show game over screen. We could fill that in later on. The next one is we have to show a screen for if the person has won. So then we do a check if has won. All right, that function will return true. If it's true, okay, we can do a check, and then we could say show game one screen. All right, that's a function we need to run as well too. And the last one is the else statement. And oops, I forgot. Else if before has one. There we go. So yeah, else if has one equals true. Else. Okay, so now we're down to else. Else is going to be literally everything else. So we'll say run the game. And running the game is actually everything we've done so far, right? Everything down to the end of the create or the update function here. So actually, what I'm going to do is there's a couple ways you could do it, I guess. I'm going to take all this. I'm just going to show you maybe a little more clarity. Actually, function create player. We don't want that one. We want function destroy brick, add ball control right here. Add player movement. Yeah, this is everything we want. Okay, so we're going to take all of this from the end of the else statement here, the end of the else curly brace, right where it says add player movement. We're going to grab add player movement, add ball control, and that's it. Looks like. Let's cursor down. Add collider, hit player. Yeah, that hit collider's up there. Yeah, so we just need to add player, ball control, and player movement. I'm going to copy or cut that. All right, make sure you cut it so you don't have duplicate there. And I'm going to put that inside of the other bracket. And this looks kind of weird to you. There's a little auto formatting button up here. We can hit this, and it will actually format the entire thing for us so we can see it nested. And basically, you want to follow this gray bar down the side here to make sure that your brackets look like this at the end. You want these brackets stacked up like this. If your brackets don't look like this, then something's probably wrong. You're probably missing a bracket somewhere, or there's some error that's causing this to be incorrect. So you want to make sure you check that. And so yeah, if this physics world is true, show game over screen. We're going to have to add that. Game over screen else. Okay, I'm going to add a little space here, run the game. And the run of the game is going to encompass the adding player movement and ball control. Basically, if they have not won and they have not lost, run the game as normal. And okay, so everything looks fine here. Now we can check this by, we don't have a game over or win lose screen. So let's go back to the game though. And we can actually check to see. Let's see here. Let's go to our separate window. Okay. And we could actually do a check here to see. And if we run it, okay, let's just see what happens when the ball goes below the screen. Our input controls should be disabled. And indeed they are. We cannot move the paddle left or right. Okay, this works because what we've done is we've disabled player control. Player control is under the else statement here. So when we went below, okay, remember this is running every frame, so it detected that the ball went below the Y bounds of the game, went below the Y bounds, and so has lost. It became true, and so it ignores everything else below it, meaning that basically it stops running this if statement because now this has become true, and it will always become true because the ball is not coming back up. So every frame it's detecting that the ball is below the Y bounds of the game, and it's returning basically true. And so this is always going to be disabled. We no longer have player control, and we can no longer control the ball. That's all disabled here as well too. And our game is complete. At this point, we can actually see if they won. I'm not gonna go through detecting all of it here, but actually we can do if player one function update player one is true. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with it too much. We're gonna see. You'll be able to test this out. But basically, if we destroy all the bricks, then we are going to be able to get rid of them, and the same result should happen, that our input control should be disabled. So actually, can I do, let's see, I did a local variable, didn't I? I did const total, if it equals that, if total equals, we could just do a test. Let's see, if total equals anything, right? So if total, we can just get rid of that. Total will return true because it has a number. Basically, as long as it's not 0. So we run this now, and we refresh. Okay, any brick we get rid of, actually any brick at all, yes. The player controls are currently disabled. I cannot move this, and neither will you if you just did what I just did. And why is that? Because we basically said if total equals, let's see, returns true. Let's do, if there's 9 bricks per row, 327. If total equals 26, let's say, return true. Okay, let's see. Reload this. Okay, so we see our input controls are restored, and 1 brick should disable them. Nope, it did not disable them. Why did it not disable them? That disabled them. Let's try it again. Wait, is there more than 9? How many bricks we got here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, we got 10. All right, so never mind that. So what did I say? 26. So yeah, if we destroy 4 bricks, all right, we get 9 per row. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Why is not it's not working now? It should be. Let's see. Let's go back. And if total equals 29. Let's go back. Take a look. Refresh. All right, wait a minute. Oops. Make sure I can play. Okay, let's take a look. There we go. Okay, so now it worked. Maybe I just didn't click run last time. So after that 1 brick that was destroyed, we got to 29. we see essentially the win condition be made true, that the input controls are disabled, and we would display a U1 screen here. So we don't want the game continuing after that. We don't want the person to play as they, after they won. So I'm gonna go back and change that. But that was just a test to see. All we did is set the total number to equal 29. So if we basically want this to be 0. If total equals 0, there we go, return true. I did 29 because it's 30 bricks after thinking there was 27 bricks, but I miscounted. Okay, so yeah, total equals 0, return true. That works. Our loss works. Everything works. We're good to go. What we'll do is in the next video, we'll take a look at creating a bit of text on the screen that starts the game and ends the game, and you will have finished your breakout game. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.